Today on the program, when a scientist becomes an entrepreneur and a businesswoman maintains extensive social activities, or when an enthusiastic woman revives the traditions of her people. Quite often in the biographies of successful people, we meet sharp turns on their life paths, changing professional approaches, their occupation, and sometimes even their professional fields. But rarely there are situations when a person changes one success for another. Thus, the heroine of today's program, being fairly well known as a scientist in the region, having a serious reputation, suddenly changes the scope of her activities and has become known in a completely different incarnation. But first things first.
Я мечтала быть королевой. Я думала, у королев все есть, то есть они могут себе позволить.
I dreamed of becoming a queen. I thought queens had everything. They could afford whatever they wanted. I mean, a queen can buy any doll from the shop she wants. In general, I thought that everything at the shop is sold, and if I had been a queen, I guess I would be allowed to take everything I want, eat everything I wish, and drink everything I wanted.
Поесть, попить и все игрушки себе, которые я хочу.
After 8th grade, while her parents were away, her school friend persuaded her to enter the medical school together. Her class teacher was strongly opposed, believing that the young excellent pupil needed more honors. And what audacity while her parents were absent. I managed to persuade her and took all my documents. I passed the exams, and the funny thing was that my girlfriend failed. Here then was a dilemma, to study further or not. But you know, it was like, I am already a student of medical college, and I am waiting for my parents. They will come back and I will tell my mother. You know, she really liked the idea, saying that a physician was really needed in every family. I was the head almost of the whole faculty. I was very active and all the teachers loved me. I will never forget that our surgeon, a professor of surgery, when we came to the training in the hospital, he said, "You go there. Others go to give medicine, but Zhanserikova goes with me to the operating room." He saw in me a good future surgeon, obstetrician, gynecologist. But unfortunately, we passed a lot of trainings, and I saw that medicine, in my opinion, was idealized. And I saw some of the problems and deficiencies, and I decided that one should be in medicine for all 100%, according to the Hippocratic Oath, or never be involved. Our heroine graduated from college perfectly with the direction to the main medical school of the country. But at the time, Aigul did not want to become a doctor. She dreamed about another area of activity, biology and ecology. Here, despite the circumstances, her nature manifested. I arrived in Almaty and prepared to enroll in the University of Medicine because the whole family wanted me to study there. But you know, if I have a goal in my mind, I will always achieve it. And when my father came to help me to submit documents, the university agent told me, "Where is your military ID? You are liable for military service." And it was kind of a relief. I would have to go back to Taldygargan to bring the military card, and when we went out with my dad, I said, "Dad, can I still try to enter KSU?" He was so angry, turned and left me in front of the university saying, "Do what you want, act like you want, but don't offend yourself then." It was not surprising that the applicant Zhanserikova passed the entrance exams excellently, and it is predicted that the student Zhanserikova became one of the best in the course, and those who were personally familiar with Aigul expected that she had almost become a prominent public figure of her university.
В КСГУ, естественно, я тоже не бездельничала, параллельно учебе я занималась очень много.
In KSU, I didn't idle too. Parallel to study, I engaged in social work, and somewhere in the 3rd year, I became the secretary of the Komsomol in faculty. And in the 4th year, I was a member of the board, then the member of the bureau, plenum, and so on. Well, in general, I had the 3rd signature. It means any document was signed first by the dean, then the secretary of the party, and then by me.
У нас на факультете любой документ выходил подпись декана, подпись секретаря парткома и моя подпись.
It goes without saying that she was predicted for a career on the party line. However, her own plans were in a different field, science, and these plans, it might seem, were a little surprising, but were supported by marriage.
Я вышла после 4-го курса замуж, и муж сказал,
Like a normal woman, you have to stay at home to bring up children. You'd better go to your Institute of Physiology as a teacher. And so I went to the Institute of Physiology of Sciences as a junior researcher. While over time our children grew, the parents helped in their upbringing, and I rose to the position of researcher. Then there was announced one competition at the neighboring lab from the neighboring institute, also in scientific activities, one program in the oil and gas regions. I applied and won.
В нефтегазовых регионах. Я подала туда и прошла.
Thus began the formation of young researchers. She worked in a laboratory and educated. After brilliantly defending her thesis, Aigul was preparing to defend a doctoral degree. After an internship in Switzerland, her career sharply changed. I received an offer from my Swiss colleagues from the Center of the Environment and Development, the University of Bern. They arrived with a large program supported by the Swiss state. They started a regional program in Central Asia, including the countries Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan, and they offered me to become a member of this program in Kazakhstan, knowing that I speak German and English. The environmental program in Kazakhstan started, continued until 2008, and I was involved in it for 8 years. I was a representative in the country. It was such a small program, but it was well known. Due to this program, I became an ecologist, became not only a national expert, but also an international expert. It would seem the future of Aigul Zhanserikova was already predicted. She was trusted by international experts as an ecologist, and her skills were in demand worldwide. However, during this period, she decided to change everything, and all of a sudden decided to take up traditional Kazakh felt crafts.
Конечно, вот в Казахстане у нас это было очень трудно воспринимать.
Of course, in Kazakhstan it was very difficult to accept that I, speaking 4 languages, having a degree in science, gave up my PhD when I was 80% done. I gave up everything and began to revive felt and ecological tourism. It was very hard to perceive, but now people say, "Good job, Zhanserikova."
Это было очень тяжело воспринимать. Ну, сейчас зато, мне кажется, некоторые говорят, ну, молодец, Zhanserikova.
For Kazakhs, felt is an integral part of everyday life. Sirmaks, tikimets, warmth and comfort in a yurt in the winter frost, and cool in the summer heat. To revive the tradition and combine almost a lost ancient knowledge with modern needs, style and fashion, Aigul had to do a good job.
Я целенаправленно ездила в наши аулы. Вот я помню, приезжала в село Саты, которое находится недалеко от Кольсайских озер.
I purposely went to our villages, so I remember once I came to the village Sata, which is close to the Kolsai lakes. As much, the place is forgotten and located far from the metropolis village, so many chances you can find some interesting things. I found the old tikimets and found old women who made them, but you know, they all showed me their fingers saying, "We have no strength to make them again." And they all stressed, "Dear, it is a beautiful and good art, but it requires physical strength." And I began to teach the younger generation. Now our products are traditional, using only traditional technology, but nevertheless, the technology is so advanced that we can make very thin products. They have smooth edges, a smooth surface, and thick, that people can now even wear clothes from felt.
Одинаковую толщину, и могут быть настолько тонкими, что видите, как сейчас люди носят одежду из войлока.
Of course, the start was very difficult. At first, except Aigul, there was nobody in her company. As our heroine jokes now, she was the director, and the driver, and a cutter and designer, and even a cleaner in one skin. And of course, the technology had to create production from scratch.
Начинать любой бизнес нелегко, а быть первыми еще сложнее.
Starting any business is not easy, and to be the first is even harder. In our case, for example, when we launched this initiative of revival of felt, we could say there was no one engaged in it. We started this idea from scratch and did not know whom to work with. We tried to work with women who have some kind of relationship to needlework, or who knits and embroiders at home. Working with different layers, for example, application of a thin ornament on the base layer, then to go to improve technology, design. We began to work with other materials like natural cotton fabric, like natural silk. And now I am proud to say that in Kazakhstan, if in 2002 When I launched this initiative, there was not a single master. There was no good products made of felt on the market. But now we can even compete in the international market with our products, and our quality is appreciated not only in Kazakhstan, but we also have various international quality certificates with UNESCO. One of the features of production created by Aigul Zhanserikova is that it is a kind of educational platform, cultivating a new generation of felt masters. More than 300 masters were trained, many of which exhibit their work not only in Kazakhstan, but also abroad. Of course, I could do it at the level of home business, stay at home, do it as a hobby, but I decided to do the people's business. I mean, it turned out that I taught a lot of women in Kazakhstan to revive the craft, and then saved and transmitted to the future generations. Moreover, I decided that this craft can also be a business, and it is as a source of income for rural women, the same for local unemployed women in the city of Almaty. And so I organized the first felt workshop in Kazakhstan. We began to work with international organizations such as the United Nations Development Program in Kazakhstan to help local women find a source of income, but did not know how to do it. And I offered as an ecologist to my colleagues who work in different regions of Kazakhstan on environmental projects to train rural women. And here we began to teach in the regions, traveled to the village to collect local wool, requiring women to wash this wool. At the same time, there was no ready-made wool in Kazakhstan. They scratched by hand, but they could make slippers, some mats and tiki mats for themselves. This is how it all began. Work with felt requires a lot of space. Aigul started to rent a tiny 18 square meter studio where her first students came from all regions of Kazakhstan and organized the production of felt products. Today it is not just a big workshop, this is a network of artisans working in different cities and providing the full cycle from collection and processing of wool to completed products.
Если интерьерные изделия были как бы началом нашей деятельности, то сейчас мы делаем различные аксессуары.
If interior design products were the beginning of our works, and now we are doing a variety of accessories, and the youth wear with pleasure our scarves, brooches, necklaces, earrings, rings, bracelets, and so on. In addition, we naturally make different orders for souvenirs. Probably no fashion event in Kazakhstan, especially at the international level, can't be held without felt products, because felt is the main textile of the nomadic Kazakh people. It definitely reminds those customers or members of other countries the history of the Kazakh people, their way of life, and of course each ornament. It is also a kind of philosophy, so they always attract the attention of all the guests, tourists, and visitors to the different exhibitions. Or, for example, to show the culture of the Kazakh people at forums.
Всех гостей, туристов, посетителей различных выставок, или же, например, на форуме показать культуру казахского народа.
Aigul was taught the basics of needlework by her mom. Today, her son Aljas is actively helping in the development of her business. The family-owned company is already preparing a plan for the development of a whole factory, which will produce a range of products at the junction of the traditions of the nomadic people and contemporary fashion and style.
На всех зарубежных выставках я стою с гордостью, потому что я представляю.
At all foreign exhibitions, I'm proud because I represent a country that has such an original and interesting culture. You know, I can say much about some ornaments because they have a whole philosophy.
Столько могу им рассказать, потому что в них целая философия. Есть такое понятие в маркетинге, каждый.
There's a concept in marketing. Each product which is sold shall have its story. So we have these stories all around, thank God. So you know, I'm proud to share not only about felt, but also the history of my country as well.
Рассказать историю своей страны.